Hey, what's up guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Today I'm going to be doing an updated version of my Spellbook deck profile. Now this deck is really fun and I really love this deck. It's probably one of my favorite decks of all time, probably my top 10 decks of all time. So let's get started on this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's an amazing spellcaster deck. I have some interesting techs in this deck that I kind of want to show you guys. We're even going to play the guessing game that we usually do in here where I flip a card face down, you count to 3, tell me what it is, and I will give you a heart if you get it right. So, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can become a part of the notification squad, and let's get straight on to this. Hopefully we can get Spellbook of Judgment back at some point. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of High Priestess of Prophecy because it's extremely easy to summon out, and you just reveal 3 Spellbook cards from your hand and then special summon her, and then once per turn, you can banish a Spellbook card from your graveyard or your hand, and then target a card on the field and destroy it. The really awesome thing about this deck is you could probably tech in Pot of Indulgence in this deck because you really don't need the extra deck all that much. You're not really concerned about what you banish and what you don't in this deck. So you could probably essentially tech in Pot of Indulgence very easily. 1 copy of the World of Prophecy. The World of Prophecy is a really awesome card in this deck because it's usually my go-to besides the other card that I'm going to show you in just a second that I special summon. When this card is special summoned by the card effect of a spellcaster type monster or a spellbook spell card, you can target 2 spellbook cards in your graveyard and add those targets to your hand. And then also you can reveal 4 spellbook spell cards with different names in your hand and destroy all cards on the field, which is an amazing effect. All other cards on the field. So this survives, but everything else goes away. So the next card is the mystery card. So guys, I want you to comment down below. The only thing I'm going to tell you is it is a monster that I'm playing. So comment down below, tell me what you think it is, and I'll reveal it in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Okay, don't forget to comment. You ready? Here we go. It's 1 copy of Dark Magician of Chaos. Now, I wasn't playing this before. I absolutely love this card. I think it's really interesting to play in this deck, even though it got eroded. It's a really good beat stick, and it really helps out the deck with consistency. So, during the end phase, if this card was normal or special summoned, you can target a spell card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. That is literally any spell card that you want. And it also has the effect of if it destroys an opponent's monster of battle, after damage calculation, banish that monster, and if this face-up card would leave the field, you banish it instead, which isn't that big of a deal. I'm not that worried about it banishing itself, but it's still really cool that you can attack into your opponent and banish their monsters. And it gets really big with Spellbook of Power, it goes up to 38. And if you use Masters in Power and swing at your opponent, you can add the Master back to your hand at the end of the turn and use it again next turn to use power, which is really cool to just keep adding cards off of your Demok or your Dark Magician of Chaos really easily. The next card I play I know it's like Yugioh Spellbooks, like it really is 1 copy of Silent Magician level 8. I play Silent Magician level 8 because I play 3 copies of Silent Magician as well. Silent Magician is such a good card in this deck, and it's really underrated because this deck has so many pluses it gets. You can put this on field, and your opponent just cannot deal with it the majority of the time. I really wish I could get a playmat with her on it, so I could use it for the deck profiles of this. It cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned for your hand by attributing a spellcaster type monster, any spellcaster type monster, and it special summons itself out. And then it gains 500 attack for each card in your hand, and then once per turn during either player's turn, when a spell card is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, and sent to the graveyard while it's in its owner's possession, you can special summon 1 Silent Magician level 8 from your deck, ignoring his summoning conditions, or a Silent Magician ignoring summoning conditions, which is really cool. So I just usually summon out my Silent Magician level 8, which is 3,500. And this card adds a little bit of negation on the field because I can just negate all sorts of different plays that my opponent are doing. The next card I play is 3 copies of Temperance of Prophecy. Temperance of Prophecy is just a really awesome card in the deck because it lets us, during the main phase, if you activate a Spellbook spell card previously this turn, you contribute it to special summon 1 level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster type monster, but you cannot special summon another level 5 or higher monster for the rest of the turn during the turn you activated it, which is not that big of a deal. Usually I'm just going to summon Demok, or it just depends which one I want to summon off. I'm usually going to summon one of these 2. I'm not going to summon her because she has her own built-in special summoning effect. So I usually just summon Temperance, or I use Temperance to special summon out World or a Dark Magician of Chaos. Then I play 3 copies of Justice of Prophecy. This card also helps out with special summoning them from deck, but during the end phase, for every every turn in which you activate a Spellbook spell card, you can banish this card from the field, add both a level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster type monster, and a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand. This card is the card that I use to special summon out my High Priestess, because I add it to my hand and get myself set up for the next turn. The last card that I play as a monster is 3 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. When it's normal summon, you get to add a Spellbook spell card directly from your deck to your hand. So that's it for the spellcaster type monsters. It's pretty standard lineup besides the Dark Magician of Chaos and the Silent Magician. Some people play a little different. Some people like Demise in this deck. I think that's kind of silly. But that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells, which we play a lot of spells. When I say a lot of spells, it's called spellbooks for a reason. So we play 3 copies of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave just prevents us from being hand-trapped. 1 copy of Spellbook of Wisdom. This prevents our spellcaster trap monsters from being affected by spells or traps, which is really cool. You call either one. Spellbook of Eternity, you get to target a banished Spellbook spell card and add that target to your hand, which is pretty good because it retrieves them off of like your Spellbook of Fate and stuff like that. 2 copies of Spellbook of Life. I bumped this up to 2 because I found myself running out of steam later in the game, and this card really felt really useful to have 2 of it. So you just banish a spellcaster type monster from your grave and reveal another spellbook card in your hand, and then target 1 spellcaster type monster in your grave and special summon in that target in face of attack position, and increase its level. Equip it with this card and increase its level by the banished one's level, which is not that big a deal. They used that during Zexal to throw off level manipulation to make it like really big so you couldn't overlay with it, but that's not that big of a deal now because we just end up linking the monster way. Usually I end up summoning High Priestess of Prophecy because Dark Magician of Chaos ends up banishing himself, so I usually don't use him. So then I play 2 copies of Spellbook of Power. You can target a spellcaster type monster you control, and until the end phase it gains 1,000 attack, but the really cool effect is each time it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand. Now the really awesome effect is this, is when you chain it in conjunction with Spellbook of the Master. If you put Spellbook of the Master and Spellbook of Power on the field at the same time, you can activate this, and if you control another spellcaster type monster, you can reveal a Spellbook spell card in your hand and then target 1 Spellbook normal spell card in your grave, except for another copy of this card, and make this card's effect that card. So the combo is that you activate the Power, target a monster, activate Master, target this engrave, and then every time you destroy a monster, you add 2 cards instead of 1, which is amazing. Then you get so many pluses to feed your Silent Magician to get it really, really big and get its cap really, really high on its attack points. So then I play 3 copies of Spellbook of Secrets. Spellbook of Secrets is basically the Searcher of the deck. You get to add a spell trap or Spellbook spell card, or Spellbook card from your deck to your hand. So it adds monsters or Spellbook spell cards, either or, whichever one you want to add. That's why I play a lot of 2-ofs in this deck, is because this card exists and it's searchable off of just summoning our Magician. Then I play 2 copies of Spellbook of Fate as well. I bumped down Spellbook of Fate because I felt like, I know it really didn't clog, but I just wanted to put Called by the Grave in here, so I figured this was the one to drop. But you can activate it by banishing 1, 2, or 3 Spellbook cards in your graveyard. If you banish 1, you return a set card on spell trap from the field to the hand, which I don't usually use. The 2 changes an attack position monster, or to face down defense position or face up attack position. You can change a monster's battle position, but the big one is you banish a card, you banish the 3, and then you banish a card on your opponent controls. So it does not target for the banish. So that's really cool, and a really great effect. Then I play 3 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge, which is the draw power of the deck. You either send to the graveyard a spellcaster monster you control, or 1 other Spellbook card from your hand or face up from your field to the grave, except another copy of itself, and then you get to draw 2 cards, which is really, really good. And then for the last card, I play 3 copies of the Grand Spellbook Tower. I think 3 of it is important in the deck because I want to establish this as quickly as possible. Once per turn during your standby phase, if you have a Spellbook spell or spellcaster type monster on the field or in your graveyard, you can place 1 Spellbook card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. And then you get to draw a card, and then when this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck whose level is equal to or less than or equal to the number of spellbook spell cards in your graveyard, which is really cool because if they destroy this late game, I'm usually going to summon out a really big spellcaster type monster like High Priestess or something like that. But usually I'll end up summoning like Temperance and then leave Temperance on the field and then tribute it on my turn and get the special summon effect off. So like I said, you don't really need the extra deck. I'll show you the suggestion cards for the extra deck. I have one put together, but I really do recommend if you have the money, get Pot of Indulgence to get that extra draw power in the deck. You could probably drop out of the deck the Grand Spellbook Tower, maybe one copy of Silent Magician, and maybe one copy of your Justice. So if you're going to play Pot of Indulgence, drop one of these, because you're going to search it, and maybe one Silent Magician. Maybe. That would be the only 3 cards that I would consider dropping in the deck. Maybe this. I don't know. That would be my suggestions. I'm not going to play it because I think it's a little expensive right now, and I think I don't need it. This deck is already consistent enough. If you want to speed through it more, play it. If you don't, that's fine too. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 1 copy of Big Eye to steal our opponent's monsters, 1 copy of Red Eye's Flare Metal. I make this quite a lot with 2 copies of High Priestess because she's level 7, 1 copy of Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack because it's just really good. 1 copy of number 38, because you can make this with a Democ and a World Prophecy. I make this very, very seldomly. Like, it's very rare that I actually make this. 1 copy of 47, Nightmare Shark, because you can attack your opponent directly just by having 2 spellbook, 2 of the level 3 monsters in the deck. Same thing with our Phantom Knights of Breaksword. It's really easy to go into, but I don't make it that often. I don't usually use the extra deck all that much. 1 copy of Borreload and 1 copy of Boral Sword, just in case. 1 Griffin, just as kind of there. 1 Topologic Trisbania. I make this sometimes to banish all my opponent's cards. Deco Talker, just a good generic Link monster. 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, and 1 Cerberus to bounce and then to pop spells and traps, and then 1 Underclock Taker. This is what I make the most. I know that's kind of sad, but I make Underclock Taker the most in this deck, or Nightmare Phoenix or Unicorn, because I'll get 2 monsters on field and I'll link them away to destroy either spells or traps or reduce a monster's attack and to gain 1 of mine's attack. So anyways, guys, that's it for the deck profile. Like I said, you don't really need the extra deck all that much, so you could play Pot of Indulgence if you want to. I'm not a big fan of playing it in this deck. It's an excellent card, but I just don't want to play it in here. So, anyways, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell in there so you can become a part of Notification Squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.